All right, guys, welcome back to another video. It's your man Jay. So today we're going to be looking at the iPhone 15 Pro. This is the 6.1-inch version of the newer devices from Apple. So this is the 15 Pro. I did an unboxing on this a day or two ago, and I've been using it straight through now. And I want to talk about it almost 3 days in, because there were some areas that I was concerned about whether or not I could use this as a daily device. And most of the time I'll buy all the devices, then I'll choose one to stay with or keep two of them or whatever. But this is a determining factor for me because I really like the small size of this particular device. I mean, this Pro version, and it's just so nice. So if you haven't seen the unboxing, go ahead and head over and check out the unboxing. But this is after almost 3 days of use after recording this video. So let's look at it this way. Battery life was the determining factor for me, not the 70mm zoom lens, because a lot of people don't use zoom lenses on their smartphones. Very seldom will you do that. Do people do that? Based on when I talk to people, and even myself, the only time I use a zoom lens is when I'm actually just trying to shoot something way up in the sky or something like that. I don't zoom in on houses, or I don't have a use case scenario for it at this moment. But if I start doing some like wildlife or something, or taking pictures of trees far out in the distance, I don't know, there is a use case scenario for it. But it is good to have it at your disposal, even if you're not going to use it. I'm a big fan of that now. I didn't used to be a fan of that, but being able to have something at your disposal is actually really good. So with that being said, battery life was the determining factor for me, and I was concerned whether or not I would be able to make it through a full day with this device, because you know I love the 13 Pro. The 14 Pro, I did not like it. It was really weak on battery. And as a matter of fact, I made that video a while back saying the 13 Pro Max was the last great iPhone. And, you know, I stand firm on that just because, somewhat, because it has a SIM card. And that is a determining factor for a lot of people. Like, I don't know why. Well, I know why. We're not going to get into that. But battery life was a concern, and now it is not. This phone definitely can go all day. Now, how does it compare to the battery life on the 15 Pro Max? Well, this one is a little bit less, an hour or two maybe in my experience. But the good part is you'll be happy to know that if you leave the house at 100%, depending on what you do for a living, and if you just have a regular 8-hour workday, you're going to be impressed with this device. You're gonna make it through the full day, and then even to the evening and bedtime, you'll be good to go. At least in my experience. I'm not a heavy user, but I have tons of notifications that come in, and my phone beeps so much, and all these things keep coming on. It's just what it is. The social media aspect of it, emails left and right. But overall, this particular device makes it through a full day. Now, the difference between this and the 15 Pro Max is this tapers off quicker towards the end of life of the battery cycle. So meaning once I start to hit like 20% or so, it really starts to drain a lot faster than the 15 Pro Max. And that is where I saw the difference. That's the only difference. So this is why I say, if you are looking for a device and you want the small Pro one, I think you'll be fine with this. And most people probably don't have 10 emails, and you know, the average person just has one email, and the average person by today's standards might have one Instagram account, one Twitter account, you know, things like that. I have like 2 and 3 of each. Because I'm running different YouTube channels, I'm running different websites and things like that. So it's going to come down to what you're doing with your device. So I know, since if I have all these things syncing, and I'm still able to make it through an entire day and into the night with no issues, I think most people in the public can do it. And so battery life is a concern for a lot of people. And with that said, as you're watching this video, I'm getting ready to move on from battery, but I want to hear from the people that actually have this Pro device, the 15 Pro. And I want to hear what your battery life is like, because we all have a different number of applications on our devices. We all do. We have a totally different set of applications on our devices, and you know, we're going to get different notifications. There's a whole bunch of reasons why battery life is going to be different for everyone, and I want to hear how your battery life is. I think my screen on time, if you want to measure screen on time, I think it was 6 hours or something, like a little over 6 hours. I'm not sure, but I try to measure how long I'm off the charger. That is what's important to me. So with that being said, let's check out the hardware. Needless to say, I'm impressed with the battery life, and that was a concern, but it is no longer a concern. So the hardware, what Apple has done here to make this better, in my opinion, is if it's titanium, yeah, but they've gave it the brushed sides. I didn't like the polished aluminum sides. I just didn't think it was a good look. It was horrible because I don't like to wear cases, and so with this one, there are some fingerprints, but you can barely see them. They're there, but you can't really see them. So I really like that. And then I chose the white color for this small one, and it just flows. It flows. And so hardware changes they made, other than the brushed sides, is they've tapered the sides. So hard to see on video probably, but this is curved and smoothed out, and it's definitely not as flat and rigid and sharp as the previous generations. It is just not. And so you're going to have a better feel in hand. So the corners are tapered off, the whole sides are tapered off, the whole device is just softer in the hand on the corners. And this is a huge change that they made, because I'm sure they were looking at feel in hand. This is important to people. So if that's important to you, you're going to love the 15 Pro Max or the 15. I haven't had any experience with the 15 Plus and 15 yet, but I'm pretty sure those still have the old body from the 14s and going backwards. I'm pretty sure it's still the same. But nonetheless, these Pro models, hardware on point. Also, I looked at the camera modules and I compared them next to the 13 and 14 and the Pro models. And these are smaller. These appear to be smaller than the 14 Pro cameras, and about the size of the 13 Pro cameras as far as the modules themselves, the hardware. But this obviously has the better camera hardware internally, because that is where this device really shines, and we're going to talk about that next. But yeah, physically, that you don't get the 70 millimeter zoom lens on this Pro model. You have to get the Max to get that. That shouldn't be a determining factor, like I said, for a lot of people, because no one uses the telephoto lens very much at all. This does have macro video and macro photos, and that should be something that you're excited about, because you can get in really close to your subject. You can get in close to it. So I have Pro RAW and Pro Res turned on when I'm shooting, and I leave it there. I now shoot in HDR or Pro Res for all of my content. And I just think this is such a huge win for anyone, not just creators, because we're a social media, we're just all social media in the world right now. This is all we do is social media. Everyone puts their entire life online. And I guess if you're going to do it, you might as well look good doing it, even if what you're posting isn't good or has no value. These cameras will produce some of the best footage that you could possibly think of. I mean, I always shot in 4K 60, but I didn't always shoot in HDR or ProRes. This camera setup right here that Apple has put together is different than the 14 and the 13 Pro Max, because shooting in HDR continuously on this one, the footage comes out spectacular. In anything I do, it's not overblown, it's not washed out. Excuse me, the ISO is just right. Everything is just perfect. I even shot in ProRes, and it's just great. There's not much editing needed at all. Now, the flip side of me liking this device so much is, pardon me, the camera settings are limited in the app itself, unlike other phone apps where, let me show you here, you have, and obviously, yes, I'm reaching for a Samsung device. You have everything at your disposal right from the app. And to me, this is just a good thing. I really like being able to have everything at my disposal right in the app. And I think if Apple were to do this, man, I think they would do a fantastic job at giving us something like that. But instead, you have to come to the app here. Now, there are some settings, obviously, in the app that you can do. But it's a Pro camera. It's got the name Pro. And it doesn't allow much control over certain things. So my current settings are this right here. They stay like this: 4K 60, HDR, and enhanced stabilization. Those are my settings. And also I got the auto 30 and 60 on. Those are my settings. that I use for that. And then obviously my 4K 30 is cinema. And then these are all my settings from before. Now my styles are always set to cool, and I like that too. And you can choose your main lens. You can turn on the 28, you can turn on the 35 and shoot them at your main lens, or you can just leave it and select. And I think that's a good thing. But nonetheless, in the camera app, you know, I think Apple has given us enough to make us appreciate what they're doing in the control of the cameras and how it's controlling everything. However, as a creator, I would definitely like to have a little bit more control over my camera in the application itself. That's all. I want a little bit more. So you can control the ProRes down here, but you can also control ProRes HDR on the top up there. So, I mean, Apple has done a phenomenal job with this camera setup. I've moved these cameras to the top of the list for HDR content and filming outside, inside. These now get the top spot over my S23 Ultra. I know the S24 Ultra is coming, but I've moved these cameras back to the top. I never really ranked them that high. I always thought that Samsung did it better, but the reason I rank them higher, even though I have less control, I have limited on the application, the final output from the quality is phenomenal. I'm going to show you a video that's coming out on my car channel right here. This is a video that will be coming out on my car channel, and just look at how beautiful this content is. Let me swipe here and show you what it is here. You can see there, it is Dolby Vision, 24 millimeter, 4K, and it is HDR. I mean, this is just, this quality footage in the end is what impresses me the most. As a person who does creation with their products that I purchase, I like to put them to the test. I like to use them. And I've now switched to using this particular device, or just the iPhone 15 Pros in general, for the car channel. I will use the S23 Ultra sometimes, because with the iPhone, the downside of this phone in comparison, like for video next to the S23 Ultra, the S23 Ultra has way better noise canceling on a windy day. Now where I live at, it is always windy. I mean, it's so windy on this day, it's ridiculous. And it was just windy. So I used an external microphone, a Type-C external microphone with a wind filter, and the audio is great. And let me let you hear some of it. Let me see if I can get it cranked up here. I don't know how you even get in and out of it. And I told him, butt first, leg. That's just it. Butt first, leg. So all you people out there, you saw my video on the 24 Corvette. So over video, that's probably not going to sound too good because it's really low. I didn't put it up to the mic. However, I found a good combination. I'm using a wind filter with an external Type-C mic, clip it on my lapel, and I have a killer camera setup for my car channel or any channel. But yeah, the iPhones for the microphones are just as good as the S23 Ultra, but when it comes to canceling the sound out, it is not very good. There's no competition there. It's competition, but it's just not as good. So hardware, battery, cameras, top notch. Performance obviously has been great for me. This is like M1 chip performance in here, and so that's not even a question. Apple's software is nice and stable, solid, no problems whatsoever, and I just think it's always going to be like that. So you got to look at the screen, you got to look at the battery life is great. The software obviously is Apple's software. I just want a few things tweaked on the Apple's products, and I'll be fine with this. I could actually probably, you know how you see those videos of people saying Android user switches to iPhone or iPhone user switches to, yeah. The good part is I have more than one phone. I'm getting ready when the Pixel 8 arrives. I'm going to activate another. The recording this video, the Pixel 8 Pro is not in my hands yet, and I didn't get a chance. I didn't get selected to go out to the event with Team Pixel this year, which is fine. But the Pixel 8 Pro will be in my hands soon, and I will activate a phone number with that line. So I can get the best use out of it. But you see those videos of people saying, switch to this, switch to that. I could actually, it's going to sound crazy to people, but if I had a choice, I'll say this, if I had to use this phone and it was my only option, I could do it with these. How about that? I don't know that I can just give up Android altogether. If I'm being honest, there's just too many things on Android that I love. I just love how simple Android is, and the things that I do on my daily task, and how connected I am with things in my office, Google everywhere. It's just really nice. Now, granted, you can do those things with an Apple product, but it's just not the same. It's just what it is. So if I had to, though, if this was my only option and I had to choose between the 15 Pro Max and the 15 Pro, and I had to keep it for a year or whatever, I could use this with ease. I wouldn't have a problem with it. It would be simple to do. No problem whatsoever. I would be able to use this straight all the way through. I wouldn't have a problem with it, and I would be totally happy with it. So it's your man Jay, man. Going on 72 hours with the iPhone 15 Pro. This is an impressive device, man. And I think if you are concerned about the battery life, I would say don't worry about it. And if you're still on the fence, I would say buy this one first. Use it for about 5 days, because I think I think Apple has a return policy of 30 days. I don't know. But use it for about 5 days and just give yourself a 14-day cushion, and use it for about 5 days, really get things going, and see how you like the battery. And then if you don't think it's enough, switch to the Pro Max if you're really interested in these. And to get the most battery, I would suggest you go to the 15 Plus. That is probably going to have some of the best battery ever, because the 14 Plus matched and almost exceeded the 13 Pro Max's battery life. Incredible. It's your man Jay. Almost 3 days later, I'm super happy with it. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.